I don't know if I have the balls to do this, but I kind of fantasize about cutting all marketing, cutting all affiliate, and just be like, guys, product's got to stand on its own.
So you have to build a really good product, but that product has to be in front of the customers. And I think marketing is just about that.
The Business of Betting podcast is presented by Optimove, the #1 CRM marketing solution for the iGaming industry. 4 out of the top 5 U.S. operators personalize player experiences with Optimove, the #1 CRM marketing solution for the iGaming industry. Learn more about Optimove by requesting a demo at optimove.com/businessofbetting. And if you like what you see, you will get your first month free.
What is up, everybody? I am Jason Trost, the host of the Business of Betting podcast. I am joined today with Manuel Stan, who's the CEO of Catena Media, who's calling in from Las Vegas.
Thank you very much, Jason. Nice to be here.
You're a Romanian guy based in Las Vegas. So how did that happen? How did you come to the desert?
Oh, it's actually a very interesting story. I met my better half, and she was actually based in Vegas. So one of us had to make a bigger sacrifice. So I moved from London to Vegas actually for her. So.
Got it. And your better half, is she American or British, or where's she
from? Mexican American, and now we have a beautiful Mexican American child. So happy days.
Very nice. So as somebody that grew up sort of in the East Coast suburbs, to me, Vegas still seems like a foreign planet, with all the casinos and all the space and the 100-degree days for 20 days in the summer. What's it actually like to live there, especially as somebody from Europe?
As a friend of mine put it, it's Disney World for grown-ups, basically. So working in the industry and having been in the industry for the last 20 years, it's literally the best place on the planet, as they say, right? I love it here. I think that the quality of life in Las Vegas is hard to beat. We obviously live in a suburb of Las Vegas, and you have a quite chill style of life, but you're also 20 minutes away from arguably the busiest, most beautiful place there is, where you can get everything you want, any sort of entertainment, like very nice restaurants, very nice nightlife, casinos, sports betting, everything pretty much. And now you have sports. We have the local teams. We have 2 professional teams in the town, and the third one on the way to come here, and hopefully an NBA franchise some point in the next few years. So I think Vegas has it all.
Very nice, except water. It's got it all except water.
We're getting there. Cheers for the plastic bottles.
Yeah, every time I'm in town, I try to go to like a Cirque du Soleil show. Every time I go to a Cirque du Soleil show, I expect to be impressed, but I always go away being more impressed than my high expectations. I'm like, how the hell did they do that? It's just...
I would recommend the Absinthe or those type of shows, which are a bit more engaging with the audience. And I think those are more Vegas representative rather than the Cirque du Soleil. But this may sound like advertising here. I do not have an affiliate code for you to share this time.
Okay. I have not done Absinthe. I will check that out next time. Before we get into the specifics of what I wanted to talk about today, why don't you just give a quick overview of what Catena Media does and what role it plays in the sports betting ecosystem?
Sure. So Catena Media is a public company listed at the Stockholm Stock Exchange, one of the largest affiliates in our industry, historically focused on the European market, but since PASPA repeal, pretty much focused on the US market, now having about 87% of the revenues coming from North America. We have overall over 3,000 different websites that are targeting the sports betting and casino industries, obviously with everything that it entails with DFS, sweepstakes, poker, lottery, and so on. So basically, we have one of the largest coverages in our industry when it comes to the entire sports portfolio. And as I said, right now focused on North America.
I don't want to unfairly beat up on you because, like the stock is down. I don't want to belabor the point, but what is your reaction? Like, America is, I guess, from some angles, a booming market. Maybe the craziness of the offers is coming down, and the sort of the duopoly that's emerging is kind of affecting the market. But the majority of your revenue is the American market, and I guess, at least from my outside perspective, the American market is growing. Why are your revenues suffering?
So I think the first comment on my side would be, you're looking at the European market, you're still discussing on a market by market basis, you're discussing the differences between UK and Sweden and Portugal and Romania and so on. And I think it should be the same when it comes to the US. You do have one market, but actually there are 15 markets, which launch at different times with different product scope and different tax levels, which dictate a different marketing approach, right? So I think it's an interesting way of looking at US all as one bucket, where in practical terms, actually, it isn't. I think obviously the PASPA repeal and the first few years after 2017, 2018 have been a bit of a gold rush in the US, with sports 5, 6, 7 states regulating per year. And from affiliate perspective, a new lifeline, if you will, where every quarter there was a new state regulating. And obviously that comes with a massive business opportunity with new customers. And I think also just one comment would be the difference between a regulation from a black market or a market that's not legal to a white market versus a regulation in a place from a gray market where customers were still playing and they are not required to start to open a new account. There's a massive difference. In the US, it was all from zero, right? Every single operator needed to start accepting customers or registering customers from zero, which again, from affiliate perspective, is a massive upside. Now you fast forward to 2022 or so, you only have about one new state regulating per year, and we haven't had any iGaming regulating since Ontario in April 2021. So it's almost 4 years with no significant iGaming regulation and with relatively slow sports betting regulation. For an affiliate that generates majority of the revenues on CPA models based on new customers, obviously you're looking right now at most of the states that are regulated already for a number of years, that are growing 20% give or take year on year, which means that you have a small margin of new customers that are actually coming and you can tap into. So the lack of new regulation is probably the biggest hit for most of the affiliates that are actually operating in the US market. So affiliates have to reinvent themselves. Historically, I think the affiliate vertical wanted to capture traffic and convert it as quickly as possible. And now I think operator affiliates are taking a step back in terms of, hey, I'm capturing this traffic. What's the best use of this traffic? How can I actually monetize this traffic the best possible way in the long run? Is it sending it to DraftKings and FanDuel right away? Or is it for me to try to build my database and be a bit more flexible in terms of what I can do with the new customers?
What does that mean from a product perspective? Does that mean having a more immersive experience under your brand and then sending the customer?
Exactly that. I think if you're looking at most of the affiliate sites, you'll see, you get to the homepage and you see top 10 bonuses that you can get right now, or promo codes or whatever it is. Well, we need to give more better product to customers in terms of staying on our website and engaging with our tools. That's tournaments, that's social casino, that's tools, that's content, that's engaging and getting the customers to return, spend time and return on our product. So not necessarily just convert from the second on their own site.
Just to be philosophical, and I'm kind of curious what you say, if you took that to the logical conclusion, why send your traffic to another site anyway and just become a sportsbook?
Because if you become a sportsbook, first of all, it's not your DNA, right? We're still a media company. So building a sportsbook would mean having a different skill set, different people, different relationship. That's not what we have built the last 15 years to be. And secondly, I don't know, I would ask you the same question, like what's the margin in the sports betting sector versus a long-term media sector? Which one is likely to have a higher margin?
I would guess sportsbooks.
Yes. Right now, I think you can argue, not that you can argue, I think right now you can draw the clear conclusion that suppliers in the North American space have a better margin than operators. True or false?
True, but I don't know what the scale of the margin is, like in absolute dollars. But I would guess the profit margin is bigger in the suppliers. Yes,
I think so. Obviously, I mean, on the operator side, it's dictated a lot by the non-scalable costs. I think that the taxes in most of the markets are actually quite interesting, right? Like how much money can you actually make in New York as a sportsbook? How much money can you make in Pennsylvania as a slots operator if you pay 54% or 51% in New York? So obviously you can cut down your OPEX, you can cut down your marketing, you can cut down how much you're paying customers, how much you're investing in customers, but there are some limits there. Well, at least in terms of suppliers, those are generally more even leveled rather than operators.
I don't know if you cut the episode a few episodes ago where I had the CEO of Rivalry on. He's a listed company in Canada, and we spent most of the episode talking about the direct listing. But what I'd love to drill into you is talking about your experience as a public CEO. I believe you just came into the company in July, if that's correct, right?
6 months, 7 months, yeah.
And do you have any public CEO experience before this, or
I have not. I have been in a public, I have been with Kindred Group for the previous 16, 17 years in
okay?
different management roles, but never the CEO, no.
So the conventional wisdom in just generic tech is that you should, well, at least the current conventional wisdom is that you should stay private as long as possible because you don't have to air your dirty laundry. You get more flexibility. Now that there's so much sort of pools of capital on the sidelines, you can get liquidity, which is arguably one of the main reasons to be a listed company, to get liquidity. But that's no longer an issue with, Mayoshi-san dropping checks on everybody. So I guess I know you're 6 months into being a public CEO, but what are your reactions to the pros and cons of being publicly listed?
I think it's pretty much what you said. You're in the public eye and you cannot actually wash your dirty clothes in private, but actually everything is public. And, we're coming on the back of our Q4 report that happened about 24 hours ago, where we talked about what happened in the quarter and what the plans are. And I think that the biggest upside probably of a private company is that you are more in control of your own destiny and you do what's the right thing, while in a public company, you have a number of shareholders and a number of parties that you have equally to satisfy and to report towards. I think for me as a new CEO, I think I'm lucky to have a board that's very supportive to our mission. And actually, it's a new board for us. So thankfully, everything changed at once for Catena. We have a new board. We have the new management. Actually, the entire management team, 5 out of 5, have been appointed in the last 9 months. So that also helps a little bit. I have a 10-month-old kid at home. So in terms of timing, everything happened at the same time. I think it's changes left and right. So that helps a lot. Joking, but...
Do you have a good therapist?
Yeah, I should for sure. But in terms of Catena, I think that the board and the management are quite aligned in terms of the turnaround story right now. So we're focusing on that. And I think for me, the last 7 months have been less 7 months of a public CEO role, but more of a manager of a company that has to do a turnaround. I did not have to spend too much time in terms of what we have to do from the longer term capital investment public company, but more operationally, and what can we do to turn it around right now. And I think that gave me a lot of leeway to actually focus where my skill set is, rather than trying to figure out what's right or wrong from a public company perspective.
What is the turnaround story that you're telling everybody?
So I think right now for us, it's about putting the ducks into a row. As I said earlier, we have 3,000 different properties and we have a team of about 200 people. Historically, Catena has tried to do too much. There's no way we can actually take good care of 3,000 websites with 200 people the way we should. So a lot of it was changing the structure of the operational teams. We changed during the last 6 months the operating model internally, moved to a product-based operating model, clarify the priorities, what matters, what does not, try to close a lot of or terminate a lot of the agreements that we had in place, but also terminate a lot of our products, and focusing on less things and putting most of the resources behind those. I think that's the biggest and most fundamental change for us, doing less and better.
I was looking at some of the press releases that you're putting out, and one of the things I noticed was that you were reversing or killing some of the AI initiatives that your predecessor did. So now's a good time if you want to shit on your predecessor, you can feel free to do that. But what is your thinking about pulling back on AI? Is it more about like focus on the bread and butter issues that kind of makes us money and less jazz hands, or what's your thinking around that?
So I think one about my predecessors, I think they did the right things at the right time, but maybe those things are not applicable anymore. So let's not shit on them. So Mike lives very close to me and I don't want to get in trouble. But joke aside, maybe also need to talk to our IR team and make sure that the wording in those press releases is fairly straightforward. As I think we try to communicate that we still believe in AI and we still have AI initiatives in the company, but we terminated a particular AI joint venture. So that is not our position towards AI in general. That was towards that joint venture that was somewhat costly and did not produce the results that we wanted. So we had a 50% joint venture, and as part of the termination, we managed to recoup part of the original investment, about 700,000 euros, which we are able to deploy towards other AI initiatives. So that's what's happening right now. I still think us as a company were bullish on AI. That was just not the way to best use it for our company, considering where we are.
Great. Fair enough. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the core algorithm that you make money from is a CPA. Basically, you send a customer to a sports betting operator and you get, and I assume you do casino as well, but you get a cut of that revenue, whether it's a rev share or upfront fee. Do you see, like, is that business model still lucrative? Because I know when we first started, off the top of my head, I'm thinking there was like CPAs of $800,000, like in the glory days.
800, yeah.
What's that like these days? Is it still lucrative? And do you see that model continuing?
So I think US is an interesting one because when states started regulating, both sports and casino operators were obviously in a land grabbing sort of strategy and paying high CPAs. So you're right, 2018, 2019, the casino CPAs particularly were in the $800s to $1,000 range, and the sportsbook one were always much lower in the $300, $400, $500 range. And with time, as operators started focusing more on their profitability and reducing the marketing spend, we have seen that as affiliates, right? So we're reporting those numbers. When you're looking at our CPAs or average CPAs that we're generating, generally they have reduced over the years, again, because operators mostly they're focusing more on their P&L. If it's a long-term lucrative way of doing things, I think the short answer is yes, as long as we're providing the right value for operators. At the end of the day, I think an operator doesn't care if it's $300 or $800 or $1,000, as long as the customers that we're providing are still generating $3,000, $4,000, and the ROI on that is where they need to be. So I've been on the operator side for the last 16 years, and you as an operator, I think you don't really care about the amount per se, as long as you can prove that you have the right ROI, right? That's how you do the math on all your marketing investments.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, how do you work with affiliates, and what are your concerns for the long term there?
I mean, I'm kind of a meathead when it comes to marketing. Do you know that movie, Field of Dreams? It's a famous American movie from the 90s. It's Kevin Costner. He builds a baseball field. Anyway, it's a great movie. If you like Kevin Costner, which I do, and Iowa, he builds a baseball field in the cornfields of Iowa, of which I've been to, and it's lovely. It's lovely. The mantra for that movie is, if you build it, they will come. I think of myself as a product builder, and like irrationally, I believe if you build the best product, that should be enough marketing to get people. So it kind of hurts me every time we have to pay an affiliate to get customers to my site. So that's kind of how I feel about it. Economically speaking, it's been a very lucrative channel for us. I think it's the most lucrative because, especially on our exchange side, we go after quite niche customers, and affiliates we found are the best. They have communities that talk about match betting and arbing and things like that. And the affiliate channel has been the best for us to get those kinds of customers. But as I'm thinking about building my business, just like that, you're trying to think about owning more of the value chain, about having more of the product feel good functionality stuff on your end of the field and not the operator's end of the field. I want to do the same for affiliates. So a lot of the stuff that the affiliates are doing, I think we should be doing ourselves, whether it's like betting calculators or explanations on how to place a bet, or the, educational pieces or content pieces. So, and maybe to your point, everybody has a sort of skill set. Content is not necessarily our strongest suit. And, probably just like you guys don't know how to trade a book, for example. So like maybe we will stumble on that, but that's sort of where I think we will always pay affiliates. I mean, that's not going away, but I would like to think that over time we will become less dependent on affiliates.
I think that's very fair. And I think that the build it and they will come does definitely work. Probably the fundamental difference between the Field of Dreams and SmartCats is that Field of Dreams had a maximum capacity that can be covered easily. While for SmartCats or for any operator, you can argue that the affiliate taps into a different segment of customers that may not come organically or may not come from other marketing channels. And at the end of the day, if it's a new customer, you want it, right? Your capacity is not really limited.
The biggest downside, I think, to affiliates, and this is more on the philosophical side, and this is not just affiliates, it's sort of marketing in general. I feel like organizationally, you only have so much time to pay attention to so many things. And, you have 200 people, I have about 90 people. And you can get the organization to, pay attention to really 1, 2, 3 major things. And, like you said yourself on the earnings call, if you spread yourself too thin, you're going to fuck it all up. And one of the things I think about marketing is that it works. Like you put money in the top, money comes out the bottom. Like it's been going around for a long time. It's what made a lot of people very wealthy, and it works. The thing that makes me uncomfortable about it is I think it kind of, and here again, I'm being very philosophical, but I think it gives like the engineers and the product team a little bit of a pass because we know it works. It lets you have an inferior product in the market and make more money than it quote unquote should. And so I don't know if I have the balls to do this, but I kind of fantasize about cutting all marketing, cutting all affiliate, and just be like, guys, product's got to stand on its own. And I think there's a really interesting, there's an interesting thought experiment there organizationally. Like, can we put out better and better and better product? Not only do you save the money on the marketing and you own more of the economic upside of that customer, but ideally you're spending more of your organizational energy on building the best product possible, which ultimately creates the flywheel that lets you win in the industry. So a little bit of a rant there.
I think philosophically it may be an interesting experiment, but I think it's the same that happens in life. No matter how, I don't know how much, how good you look and how much you pay attention to your looks and so on. If you don't put yourself out there, nobody's going to notice how well you look. So you have to build a really good product, but that product has to be in front of the customers. And I think marketing is just about that. And for me, there are also two big types of marketing. There's the old school traditional madman creative marketing, and there's numbers game. I think today's marketing is about numbers more than it's ever been and more than anything else. And everybody, me as an operator, also I come from marketing background. Most of my career at Kindred was on marketing side, and we were looking at it from purely numerical financial perspective. This channel makes money or not. And I don't think it's a free pass on developers or on product teams. At the end of the day, marketing will get the customers in, and marketing will try their best to retain the customers, but product will always be the one that will be the long-term differentiator. I think you can argue that product can work without marketing to a certain extent. The other way, it's never going to work. And you can look at any examples in the world. One way or another is still a marketing way of retaining your customers, but the product has to meet the customer expectations, or has to beat the customer expectations.
Before I let you go, we have a tradition here. We ask, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Well, probably just because of what we talked today, I would love to be wearing a Yankee on the field of dreams someday, maybe ideally number 99 or something like this. I think that would be, I grew up playing sports and I'm all about sports, and I spend way too much time watching and doing any kind of sport. So since I was a kid and until now, I think still the dream is that one day I'll grow up and some team I'll be good enough to be selected in one team, and that dream never dies.
Well, I think professional darts takes older people. You probably could do curling. There's probably not age restrictions on curling as much. There's a few outlets where you can become an Olympic athlete. Darts aren't in the Olympics, but curling certainly.
I'll have a look. Thanks for the tip.
Well, thanks for stopping by, Manuel.
Thank you very much, Jason. Have a good day.
Cheers.
The Business of Betting podcast is presented by Optimove, the #1 CRM marketing solution for the iGaming industry. 4 out of the top 5 U.S. operators personalize player experiences with Optimove, the #1 CRM marketing solution for the iGaming industry. Learn more about Optimove by requesting a demo at optimove.com/businessofbetting. And if you like what you see, you will get your first month free.